Hello, everybody. Welcome to the week 2 matchups. First, I want to congratulate the person I'm facing this week, Came on Artides, for being top scorer last week. So that's $5 buckaroos in his pocket. Easy money. That could be you this week, but it's probably not going to be me. So, better odds for you. Anyways, let's hop into the matchups. So first, we're going to start with myself versus Team Cayman Artides. About the only thing I got going for me is that Justin Fields might score more points than Kirk Cousins at this point. Got a couple of rough matchups in the running back position. Calvin Ridley and Stephon Diggs probably score the same amount of points this week. We'll see how that one works out. That'll probably be what decides this matchup, to be completely honest. We got Garrett Wilson versus DeAndre Hopkins. Just two great receivers getting thrown the ball by just two horrible quarterbacks this week, on top of having horrendous offensive lines. Tight ends, it's like, who even knows, right? Like, we'll be lucky to get 5 points out of these guys. Flex wise, I mean, he's got Pittman. Pittman's really good. Might outscore both Puka Nacua and Mooney this week. If it's anything like last week, it was a pretty impressive week for him, honestly. Got to eat my words on the Colts offense. They performed a lot better than I expected to. Anthony Richardson came in playing a lot better than I anticipated week 1 as a rookie, so that was pretty cool. I take Sam Howell over Young this week, though. Bryce Young's the better overall QB, but I feel like fantasy-wise, I might get a little bit more out of Howell. Although my defense has a little bit of an easier matchup, but I'm still going to give this week to myself because I'm biased. But in all honesty, probably Team Cayman Artides probably going to win, but you know how it is. If you face me, you just got to believe. All right, let's go. Smoking Jay Cutler versus Stickman, aka Prion Sak. Now, this is going to be an interesting matchup here. They both have really solid players in their starting positions. Where I see, like, Lamar Jackson versus Allen, like, these guys can easily score 25 points each week. Nick Chubb versus Henry, both phenomenal running backs, probably score around the same amount of points. Josh Jacobs versus Mixon. Mixon has a rougher matchup, but Jacobs also has to play against Buffalo. So they both have tough matchups. Both good running backs, just two rough matchups. So we'll see. Probably boom or bust from those two. We'll see which one booms. Waddle versus Keenan. I'm going to take Waddle in this situation. There's been like a theme with Tua and his receivers, and normally Waddle and Tyreek trade off weeks on Boomin, and Tyreek had a 200-point game. So if he does it again, that'd be insane. But I imagine Waddle's going to get a bit more of that piece of the pie this time. Mike Evans versus Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis might blow up. Who knows? You get 0 or 100 with Gabe Davis, right? Mike Evans will give you like a consistent 8 to 12 points, though. So I'll take the consistency there over the boom or bust position, just because statistics show that Mike Evans is just more consistent. Goddard versus Njoku. I don't know why they're projecting Goddard at 9 points. Probably because they're going against Minnesota. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I'd still take Njoku in this matchup. Mustard versus Tutu Atwell. I'm going to go with Tutu, honestly. I think Stafford 0 touchdowns probably won't be 0 this week. And as Stafford gets more comfortable, I think they're going to throw the ball more. And I think last week it was like they were seeing how well he was throwing, and he was throwing the ball pretty effectively. Was getting them down the field. So Tutu Atwell's a good plug and play right here. I like Tutu over Mustard this week. Lockett versus Jamal. It's hard to hate Jamal, but he had a rough week last week. Lockett also had a rough week. So it's like a battle between the bounce back player of the week, right? Who's going to have a bigger bounce back? I can't imagine both of them are going to suck 2 weeks in a row, but we'll see which one scores more. I like this. I like this matchup a lot. Richardson versus Mayfield. You know, Mayfield gets a lot of throws, right? He's going to throw a lot, so we'll see if he can capitalize on some of those, get into the end zone a bit. Baltimore defense, aka Roquan, because it's pretty much just Roquan against the Chiefs. I'm gonna just two defenses going against two high-powered offenses. I'm a betting man. You know, if I were to bet, I'm gonna bet that the Bengals don't play that horrible 2 weeks in a row. They're just too good of a team, right? Just scouring the benches to see if there's any better plug and plays here. Oh, he's got Andrews on the bench. Yeah. So Adam definitely wins the tight end bracket there, but I'm actually going to go with the underdog this week. I'm going to go with Adam again. I'm going to double down. I think his team is a lot better than last week showed. And I think his team's going to like just have a positive regression this week. So yeah, I'm going stick man. Mostly because of the Roquan Baltimore thingy here. Mirza knows I love Roquan. So I'm going to take that disrespect and return it. All right, next matchup. We got the Ron Turd Sausage Farters, a.k.a. Mick, a.k.a. Mike, versus Lick the Beam, a.k.a. Timmy Two Taps, a.k.a. Tim. Another good matchup here. We got Hurts versus Herbert. The Hertzbert, both great quarterbacks in good situations. One has an incredible offensive line and some solid weapons around him. Other one has just an arsenal with depth in his bench too that can bunch of just fresh players to revolve in and catch a ball for this dude. A little bit of a worse line though. By a little bit I mean a lot. So I think Hurts probably outscores Herbert by a little bit this week, unless Herbert just has himself like one of those games he used to. But we haven't seen one of those games in a long time, so we'll see. Breece Hall came back a lot better than a lot of people expected, a lot better than I expected. I thought he was going to take him a week or two to really bounce back and like show his playmaking abilities, but he just came and showed that he was him. So Breece Hall and Bijan, they're both probably going to score like a touchdown or something. Both these teams are really going to rely on the run. I mean, Falcons, that's not a surprise, but the Jets with the rough injury to our boy Rodgers. Tragedy, man. Missing out on some real untapped potential there with the Jets because of that. But hey, if you're a Breece Hall owner, you're as happy as can be. I'm going to take David Montgomery over James Conner. I just don't believe in the Cardinals. Like I said, I think I said it last week. I just will not take any of these Cardinals players serious. AJ Brown versus Olave. This is very sick spread. I like Olave. I think he's really good. Is he as good as AJ Brown? Maybe not. Just out of pure size and like raw power and get up ability from AJ Brown in the red zone. But 5-point difference is too large. Jackson Smith and Jigba versus DK Metcalf. Ooh, I like that. This is awesome. This is a good matchup. This might be my matchup of the week. This is going to be a fun one to watch. As Jackson Smith and Jigba gets healthier, I feel like they're going to lean on him more. And like it's going to be interesting to see which one gets fed the ball, right? I'm taking Hockenson over Kincaid. Kincaid's a really solid player. He's developing, but Hockenson, He's the man. Flowers versus Samuel. I really like Zay Flowers. I was pissed that Mike took him from me, but Debo and Zay Flowers probably. I'm gonna give that to Debo just because he's a little bit more seasoned. He's on a better team. He's not attached to fumbling Lamar Jackson, and so that's my reasoning there. Moore versus Pacheco. I'm gonna bet my down dollar that as Pacheco gets healthier, they'll give him more snaps. So I'll go with Pacheco here. I don't know, just the better offense and better opportunities in the red zone, or more opportunities in the red zone. Cleveland's not a bad team. He played pretty well last week. Russell Wilson also played pretty well last week. But Watson probably outscores on pure rushing upside alone. Right? The Browns love the run, and Watson will be a benefactor of that. Buffalo versus San Fran. That's just... I think we had 2 players earlier who were playing against these defenses, and I said they were rough matchups. Well, here they are, playing against each other in this matchup. Shit. Both of these defenses might score like 15 to 20 points this week. Let's see what happens. But don't sleep on my Rams, all right? Don't sleep on them. My boy Puka, put some respect on his name. All right. I'm gonna go with the sausage farter this week in this matchup. I like how high the ceiling of his players are that he has playing. I think this is going to be a really close matchup. Like, this is going to be probably the funnest one to watch this weekend, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. You never know with fantasy football, right? All right. Let's go. She Sweet Sushi versus the Link Park Lancers QB. And I want to make a cheesy joke, but I won't. By saying, who's going to win this week? By saying, it's going to be Alex, right? I'll be a little bit more specific this week. It's going to be Alex. All right. We got Mahomes versus Burrow. This is going to be fun. That's going to be fun to watch. You know how Burrow is, dude. Burrow is pretty much Mahomes' dad, even in fantasy. So let's just assume that if they're playing against each other, Burrow's going to outscore Mahomes somehow, some way. It's just law, right? So realistically, they'll both probably reach around their projection. That's going to be interesting. Really high scoring from the quarterbacks. Walker versus Barkley. I'm going to bet that Barkley just has an absolute monster week. He's just primed and ready to go. So I like Barkley versus Walker. Walker's good, but he's going against a good defense. We got Kenneth Gainwell versus ETN. Oh, is Gainwell out? He's ruled out, officially ruled out. So if you're a DeAndre Swift owner or a Rashad Penny owner, you might be happy about that, but I doubt it. My guess would be that's probably going to be a running back by committee. You'll probably see 3 running backs going in and out consistently in that running game if they're used at all. So ETN obviously wins this one out. So this projection is completely false. So Alex will probably, or Kisuzuchi will probably put somebody else into that running back position, fix that. But still, ETN is, let's see, you got Javante and Penny. It's fine. Even with the swap, it's ETN. But let's be real. I mean, up until this point, Lake Park Lancers QB has had the better matchups, but Devontae Adams and CeeDee Lamb are better receivers than both Amon-Ra and Godwin. So their potential to outscore them by a lot is high, especially with especially with Devontae Adams. It just seems like they're going to rely on him again this week. This is hard for me to say because I don't really like Devontae, but they're going to lean on him this week. He's questionable, but the practical foot injury, I imagine he'll probably be fine. If he's missing, then it's going to be rough for Shisui Sushi. Laporta versus Ingram. I really like Laporta. I think he's developing really nicely, but I'm taking Ingram and honestly his connection with Trevor Lawrence. Ayuk versus Jones. I'm going to go with Ayuk. Aaron Jones is really really good against the Bears. Honestly, most other weeks he's just a normal quarterback. Or not quarterback. He's a normal running back. So yeah, I'm going to go with Brandon Ayuk in that matchup. Javonte versus Kirk. I don't even know why you would double down. I wouldn't be playing Kirk this week, but hey, to each their own. So I'm going to say Javonte wins that matchup. Geno versus Jared Goff. Geno's going against another tough defense. So as much as this pains me to say, but Jared Goff probably outscores Smith this week, even if it's by a small margin. Jets versus Dallas. Jets are gonna probably do pretty solid against Dak, so at least not negative points for the Jets. I would say they do better than the Commanders for sure. Even though the Commanders are projected at a little bit higher. Pending injuries, I would say Lake Park Lancers QB has a better chance due to injury, but if I don't know, with a few of these swaps, I think Shisui Sushi has a couple way better players than CeeDee Lamb and Devontae Adams here, so we'll see how that goes. Mahomes is Mahomes. Burrow's dealing with that injury still, so I know I was trolling earlier, but this one's gonna be an interesting matchup too. But I'm gonna go with Shisui Sushi. I think she does have bench players capable with filling this gap and making it happen. Let's go to NP versus Mommy Mirza. Now, I'm going to just straight up say it. I laughed at NP when he first picked Love, but it worked out for him week 1. See if it works for him week 2. Is he a better quarterback than Dak Prescott? Probably not. And that's coming from somebody who hates Dak Prescott. But they'll probably be about even. Actually, I might give a slight edge to Love this week just because he doesn't have to go against the Jets defense. The Jets defense is pretty good. Let's be for real. Najee versus Eckler. That's not even close. You don't even have to know which one I want to pick there. Swift versus Madison. If Gainwell's not playing, then obviously Swift is probably going to get a few more touches this week. Let's see what he does with them, but I'm taking Madison, just the pure fact that Madison actually has a starting job. Hill versus Chase. What a matchup there. What a matchup. I already said Jalen Waddle is going to have a good week this week, so I'm going to go with Jamar Chase winning that one. Higgins versus DJ Moore. Well, if DJ Moore doesn't eat now, then he better eat now. Higgins versus Baltimore. That's rough for him and Burrow, but I don't know. It's a tough one. That's a tough one. I would say DJ Moore and Higgins probably score the same amount of points. Kills versus Freiermuth. Freiermuth probably has a better week than we expect if he plays. Judy versus Mike Williams. I'm going to go with Williams just because he's healthy. Dylan versus Gibson. I don't like either of these plays, to be completely honest. At least not for this week, but I don't know if they have anything better. But Gibson might actually have a better role this week. I don't know. The Commanders don't really like to stick to one game plan for too long. really just switch it up with both Gibson and Brian Robinson. Stafford versus Daniel Jones. Stafford or Mac Jones on his bench. Either are good plug and plays this week, but I mean, Mac Jones just threw 58 times. Like, if you're a fantasy football player, you chase volume like that when it's there. Yeah, I don't know. The QBs for both teams are definitely night and day. I'll let you figure out which one I think is night and which one's day. Dallas versus Miami. I mean, just the Dallas defense is so good, man. They're so good. I hate the Cowboys, but this team, like if they continue to do what they were doing last week, they might go down as one of the better defenses to ever play the game. So they're going against Zach Wilson, so Mommy Mirza might get like another 20 bomber plus from her defense. I want to go with the upset here, but I'm gonna say Mommy Mirza takes it this week. Just purely from favorable matchups, right? Like I just think there's so many matchups in her favor. It's pretty nice. Last matchup, we got the two goons. This is another fun matchup to watch this week. We got the comeback kid versus Brownie. We got Tua versus Trevor Lawrence. What a good matchup there. Just two phenomenal QBs duking it out in a matchup. Pollard versus Dalvin Cook. Cook will probably have more snaps again this week just because you heard me earlier. Zach Wilson's playing, so game plan's going to change. Running's going to be a priority. Pollard is really good, though, so taking Pollard in that matchup. Ramondre definitely over Rachaad White. Ramondre is just more talented than Rachaad White. Rachaad White's in a good situation on a team that relies on him heavily because it's the Bucs. They don't really have a good running back room. He's really just the only running back there that's operable. But Ramondre's better. Jefferson versus Devontae Smith. Obviously, Justin Jefferson on 98% of the weeks. Justin Jefferson probably outscores Devontae Smith. Okay, 98% is overshooting it. Probably, I would say like 8 out of 10 times, so like 80% of the time, Justin Jefferson's going to outperform Devontae Smith on a week-to-week basis. He's just so talented. Amari Cooper versus McLaurin. McLaurin being one less week removed from his injury is an interesting one. Cleveland likes to run the ball. It's their game plan. It's just how Cleveland likes to play the game. They like to run the clock, whereas the Commanders are trying to find their identity. They're trying to see if Sam Howell can do it. Scary Terry is the receiver that they normally rely on. I can't imagine that will change now. And then we got Kelsey versus Ferguson. I'll let you figure out which one I think is going to win in that matchup. It's pretty obvious. Watson versus Zay Jones. Watson is coming back from a hamstring injury. Talking about a guy who's just too fast for his own body. Talented as can be. Attached to a pretty good team. But Zay Jones showed a lot of promise last week. This Jaguars team is going to throw the ball and throw the ball quickly, which Zay Jones is really, really good at, getting into a spot really fast. So Zay Jones was quite a pickup. Watson's more talented, but coming back from hamstring so quickly, I'm taking Zay Jones in that matchup. Hill versus Cook. I like James Cook and the Buffalo Bills. Is just more red zone opportunities, right? I don't know which running back in Baltimore is going to get the workload. Eddie's taking a risk here, but there's no surprise. You got to do that in fantasy football every once in a while. You got to take a risk, see if it works. If it doesn't, shit. If it does, you might win your league, right? Okay. Wilson versus Carr. Zach Wilson is just I calling him an operable quarterback is generous. I'm just hoping he can get my boy Garrett Wilson the ball a couple times. He might get a touchdown or two because of it. Going down to the defenses, the Eagles are just a way better defense, but the Giants get to play the Cardinals. So we'll see. That's going to be interesting. They'll both probably get double-digit points from their defenses. To choose who I think is going to win this week, I'm going to go with Big Country. Like Brownie's team. I like how electric his team is. But Big Country is getting some of his starters back this week and has some high boomer bust players, and they're going to perform this week. So that's all I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next week.